I'm Keith Olbermann, and this is The Resistance. Boycott the inauguration. It's very simple. Don't go, don't watch, don't tweet, don't respond, don't spend money on it, don't spend one brain cell on it. Depend upon this. If the Bible leaps from his touch, or the authorities arrest him for violating the Logan Act, you will hear about it. I'm headed for Los Angeles to be on Bill Maher's show Inauguration Night. We will give you the info. And if you are an elected Democratic official, under no circumstances attend. I don't want to hear about you working with him unless you're working with him to move to the Caymans. I want to hear about your plans to impeach him or force him to resign. An exception is offered to President Obama, although later, sir, I think you will regret having had anything to do with this man. I believe in forgiveness, Congressman John Lewis said. I believe in trying to work with people. It's going to be hard. It's going to be very difficult. I don't see this president-elect as a legitimate president. I think the Russians participated in helping get this man elected, and they helped destroy the candidacy of Hillary Clinton. I don't plan to attend the inauguration. You cannot be at home with something that you feel is wrong. I think there was a conspiracy on the part of the Russians and others to help him get elected. That's not right. That's not fair. That's not the open democratic process. Correct. To John Lewis, one of my heroes, wrote Nebraska Senator Ben Sasse, please come to the inauguration. It isn't about a man. It is a celebration of peaceful transfer of power. Bullshit. If you think, Senator, that handing over this country to the puppet of Vladimir Putin should be celebrated and should be a peaceful transfer of power, you are not only not loyal to this country, but you know nothing about John Lewis. If you think, Senator, that we will let you or anybody else normalize the transfer of power to a racist, seemingly psychotic Russian plant, perhaps you should look again at how heroes like John Lewis responded the last time the white supremacists of this country insisted this was about power and that we must all accept its use and its misuse peacefully. John Lewis once did very noble things, tweeted the editor of the Wall Street Journal's Weekend Review, but that shouldn't give him a pass for poor judgment now. Irony. Poor judgment. A Wall Street Journal idiot invokes, knowingly or not, the language of apartheid. John Lewis, we shouldn't give him a pass. Of course, it could be worse. Something like that could have been said by an elected official. John Lewis ought to look at history. It was Abraham Lincoln that freed the slaves. It was Rutherford B. Hayes and Ulysses S. Grant that fought against Jim Crow laws. A simple thank you would suffice. Governor Paul LePage of Maine, moron, who, among other things, has invoked President Rutherford B. Hayes without any apparent recognition that Hayes became president in 1877 after an electoral college disaster that required a compromise that included ushering in the Jim Crow laws in the South. And then, of course, Congressman John Lewis should spend more time on fixing and helping his district, which is in horrible shape and falling apart, not to mention crime-infested, rather than falsely complaining about the election results. All talk, 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 no action or results, sad. That's right, a hero who in the 60s literally put his skull where his mouth was attacked by a clown who on a daily basis puts his foot where his mouth is. If you ever needed evidence that Trump, not just some of his followers, not just some of his nominees, evidence that Trump was himself personally, always, and unchangeably racist and in tune with true white supremacy, he just confessed to it there. To racist scum like Trump, because Lewis is African American, his district must be in horrible shape and falling apart. In fact, Lewis's district contains Georgia Tech, Emory University, the busiest airport in the world, the Centers for Disease Control, and parts of the wealthy, nearly 80% white suburb of Buckhead, which likes to style itself as the Beverly Hills of the East. What a stupid, weak man Trump really is. Bluntly, these tweets were written by a pig. Boycott this pig's inauguration. Actually, that's not fair. Pigs are supposedly as intelligent as 3-year-olds. Lost in all this is that the true operative part of John Lewis's remarks are not his words about the Russian conspiracy. The Russian conspiracy is obvious to everybody from this nation's true patriotic conservatives and Republicans to this nation's intelligence infrastructure, to everybody but this crazy man Trump and his gullible supporters, even the smarter ones, who are coming out of their trance and, according to the polls, are beginning to understand that he has already fleeced them. But that's not the key right this minute, nor is the key what Congressman Lewis said about Trump's illegitimacy. He is an illegitimate president. His name will someday appear with an asterisk, or it will be wiped from our history altogether. But no, this sentence is the key. You cannot be at home with something that you feel is wrong. There's your rule. Thank you again, John Lewis. You do not open your door to the man, the thought, the action that you know is wrong. And you don't go to his home, to his speech, to his parade. Happily, this message is getting across. See this? This is the Gallup poll on how Americans of all shapes, sizes, and parties are reacting to how Trump is handling the transition. And congratulations, Russia. He's now officially in the red. 51% disapproval, up from 48% disapproval the month before. At this time in 2009, Obama, some of whose opponents believed he was the Antichrist, was at a disapproval rate of 12%. And Trump got to majority disapproval because of the so-called independents who put us into this nightmare in the first place. In December, 46% of independents approved Trump's handling of the transition. Now, 33%, a quarter of his support among independents gone in a month. They have been seeing something with new eyes that the rest of us either concluded months or years ago, or were standing too close to see. They looked at this snot-nosed punk at the news conference with the props and the terrified woman from the winner of the Russian Law Firm of the Year award, and they looked at those gratuitous, stupid, raving tweets about John Lewis on the weekend before Martin Luther King Jr. Day, and maybe they saw a full-fledged racist, and maybe they didn't, and maybe they saw a psychopath, and maybe they didn't, and maybe they saw a Russian mole, and maybe they didn't, but you know what they did not see? They did not see a president. Boycott the inauguration. Resist. Peace.